I am coming to you from Yuma, Arizona at the Paradise Casino. And behind me is my life's work of collecting John F. Kennedy memorabilia. Back in 1963, when my mother came home, when I came home from school, my mother was crying. I saw my teachers crying. I saw my principal crying. Everybody on the bus was kind of happy. They didn't really think much of it, I guess. And I was kind of like, wow, what happened here? And I told my teacher back in 1963, that 2 days before he died, that I wanted to meet President Kennedy. Well, a couple of days later, she patted me on the head and she said, "You'll never meet him." And I said, "Who?" And she said, "President Kennedy had an accident, so we're releasing everybody to go back to school." So I went home and my mom was crying. My dad, tears in his eyes. I remember the day. That night I made my mom a scrapbook. And I hope that she would feel better. I think she did. After that, my mom bought me everything on Kennedy. Bubblegum cards, the model over there for PT 109, all this wonderful stuff. And I collected this stuff like all my life. Owning McDonald's gave me the funds, the capital, to buy his sweater, his jewelry box, and this great car that Kevin McDonald had built from the same blueprints as President Kennedy's car. I met people like Marty Underwood, who was President Kennedy's advance man, who used to work for Mayor Daley. I met presidents, Ronald Reagan. I met the Bushes. I met them in person. Movie stars, Kevin Costner, Roma Downey, Danny Aiello. I can go on and on. This collection kind of made a whole different life of mine, okay? I was married for 21 years. She really didn't like Kennedy. But in the end, when the divorce part came, boy, they wanted this stuff. And I spent a very bad time actually retaining my collection. But here it is. Because of that, it's here. This collection overall has over 10,000 items. This is about 350 items of my collection. This is the best. As the years have went by, and now, this is 57, 58 years later, it's probably time for me to hang it up, okay? I can't do this forever. So I'm going to pass it on to somebody. I don't know who, but I'd like to sell it all in one big shot, and hopefully that'll happen. I'd like to do some more shows if that's possible. I don't know. They're kind of tough to book with the younger folks who don't really understand the importance of this or just really don't care. And I understand that. I get that. So anyway, this is the Kennedy Experience in Yuma, Arizona. This is March of 2020. And I'll take you around. I'll show you a quick view of everything, okay? Alrighty. So here is... It begins with myself. Moves on to the grandfather. And we call this the Kennedy family. And it takes you through his life. And I have these special boards made where people can actually, read what's going on below the picture. All 4 movies were produced just for this exhibit. A man named Don Wood, who was a radio personality in Miami, actually produced these for me. This is the car. The car's been in 12 movies. National Geographic, Discovery Channel, Woman Named Jackie, NBC TV, Warner Brothers. And we move on here to 11 museum cases filled with original memorabilia. His PT 109 years as a commander, which he pulled his men to safety from a rope tied in his mouth. Swam to an island infested with Japanese. These are letters from all the people who Kennedy worked with, written to me. There's a little story below each one that people can read. Okay, Texas Governor John Connally, just as an example. Okay, and the letter from John Connally, the picture from John Connally, who was shot with John Kennedy, and Hubert Humphrey, which, by the way, if you look at the date, his granddaughter told me in Minnesota that he was on his deathbed. He died in January 1978. Said he could barely write that letter or sign his name. Reagan. Kathleen Kennedy Townsend actually came to one of my exhibits and opened it up and cut the ribbon. Robert Byrd, Senator Robert Byrd was a good friend of President Kennedy. How about Lady Bird Johnson? Thank you for delving into history, she said. She called me one day and wanted back Lyndon Johnson's vice presidential seal. I said, it's $10,000. She said, no thanks. Okay, there's the two guys right there. There they are. A movie. Here you go. Everything is placed one by one. Believe me. Jimmy Carter took 21 phone calls to the White House to get this speech that he wrote and signed, and actually from the Kennedy Library when he opened up the Kennedy Library for the government. Bill Clinton, as president-elect, was going to come see it, but he did send me this, and he did sign an inaugural address just for me. Look at that, from Billy Boy, okay? This is all from Jacqueline Kennedy. She was so kind to sign this. Let me find her signature. There it is right there. This is the prayer card they used in the church. This is an idea I had about 25 years ago. This is one of the 3 boards. This is the latest board. People really like this. I mean, they really, really, really like this. And I like this. I mean, look at this. Okay? How do you measure up to our presidents? Okay, so that's that. This is all new, this exhibit. I didn't have all these presidents in here after Kennedy. Now I do. All right. This is very special. This is John Kennedy's sweater given to him by Mrs. Kennedy on his last birthday. This was left at the LBJ Ranch. And Marty Underwood got this through me through somebody else, which I can't say. And that same person got me this, which I can't say. I'll tell you in private, though. I'd sell this jewelry box for $100,000 if anybody wants it. There's only, well, you can have it all, including the black onyx cufflinks, which is right here. He wore those damn near every day. If you look at this picture back here, he's got them on. See that? Okay. This is the campaign of 1960 right here. Of course, we've got Nixon stuff, Kennedy, there's Nixon, and the great debate. If you listen to this, they're talking about health care. Same thing today. Nothing's changed. Now, Nixon actually sent this to me. There it is, Richard Nixon. There it is. He signed it, Richard Nixon, from my hometown, the Monroe Evening News. Let's see the date on this, which is October 27th, 1960. So just before the election. Look at that, man. I found a newspaper as a kid, and I kept it for, I still got it. This is from President Kennedy's barber, Steve Martini. Now, I had some water damage of a beautiful picture with him cutting his hair, and it's completely destroyed. I had water in my trailer, but something I have to live with. This is the James Brady newsroom, the press room right here, okay? A lot of fun. This is a lot of fun. This is really a blast. People really like standing here and saying, hey, I must be the president. This is new this year, this one. Had this made in Korea. I couldn't find anybody to make it for me here. Okay. Okay. So we go over back to the car on this side here, and we've got the woman named Jackie. Aroma Downey, Stephen Collins signed this for me right here. Aroma told me on the set that she wished her father was alive to see her become a star. Really a nice lady. By the way, she fit perfectly in my pink suit, and so did he in the gray suit. This is from the, this is the Secret Service. This is me at the Secret Service area in Washington, D.C. I was driving the car through Washington, and the Secret Service stopped me. And they wrote me this letter, gave me his card, and they said, anytime you come back, come take a look at it. I gave them something, too. I gave them a model of the car. So these are all agents in D.C. They took me on a personal tour of the all the president's cars, but they wouldn't let me take pictures. And I didn't sneak any. Normally I do. Okay. Made this as a kid. Still a kid inside. Very famous sculpture. This is in many, many, many senators' offices. The Kennedy family uses this also at the Kennedy Center. That's what the original one's there. And of course, the podium. It's changed a little bit. This is Kennedy's rocker, one of them. Long story, can't explain it right now. So I kind of put a little picture there. All right, and his chair. And oh, I made this in I don't know, about 1966, I think it says. After a trip to Washington. That's me. Same nose. Okay, you have a Fabergé egg from the Kennedy Forest in Israel. That's a real nice piece, actually. I made this when I was a kid. Also, saved it. The Kennedy plastic model. All right, so coming back to this one, I want to just show you Abraham Lincoln and President Kennedy, the coincidences of these two presidents. I won't go into reading them, but they are for sale. Not just kidding, I'll send you one if you want one. There's a real story behind the blue Lincoln and the color Kennedy, and I'll tell it to you real fast. When they dug up Lincoln to put him in his permanent resting place, when they opened the casket up, well, they drilled a hole first to see if he would disintegrate, because they didn't know. It looked like they did not when they put a scope down there, but when they opened him up, he was blue. And that's how this came about. Kind of a cool story. That's one of my logos. And I have a couple names here, you know, the JFK experience, the Kennedy experience, whatever people feel comfortable. This is Air Force One, loaded with stuff. 3 different models of Air Force One. Okay, cigarettes. Okay, playing cards. Okay, there's a flag on every single, case. Moving back to here, since we're at the Lincoln Kennedy area, 1963, 1865. Frank Leslie's Illustrated, and there is John Wilkes Booth ready to assassinate John Kennedy, and that iconic picture. So here basically are the pictures that people have signed for me. Ted Kennedy, and here he is aboard Air Force One, JFK. These are kind of cool. This was made from Tiffany's in New York. I'll take $75,000 for those babies. Well worth the price, trust me, well worth the price. This is President Lyndon Johnson's, Vice President Lyndon Johnson's vice presidential seal. Also Hubert Humphrey's. Also Richard Nixon's. And I had a guest come in who worked for the government and told me that that's kind of special because they don't look like that anymore, which I did not know. This is a dagger that Conrad Adenauer, the Chancellor of Germany, had a collection of knives, and he gave it to President Kennedy. The gold in here is unbelievable. Look at that gold. That's about a $15,000 item. Here is the tie clip that President Kennedy wore at the Houston Coliseum. He gave it to Marty. And there's the Providence. Isn't that nice? The German dagger, there's my bio on it. A congressman, when I first started collecting Kennedy back then in 1966, sent me this, and Kennedy gave it to him. He was very proud of being a PT boat commander. This is the guy I talk about, Marty Underwood, at his desk in Washington. Kennedy only signed 12 major legislation. Here's 9 of his bills. We got the Peace Corps, the Social Security Benefit Act, the Juvenile Delinquency, the Disarmament Act, the world's largest atomic power plant, Trade Expansion Act, Chasmil Treaty with Mexico, the Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, and mental illness and retardation. Look at that, huh? That's a beautiful item. These are doodles aboard Air Force One. I would have to tell you about these later in private. This is kind of a long story, but he did doodle. Of course, these are movie suits. I begged these people for these suits. I mean, I would have got on my knees. I needed them. Since then, I've loaned them out to 6 major Hollywood motion pictures. Okay, so a little thing right here. From Ruby, Sony Pictures. And there's a bio. I always have something for them to read. And then this video has President Kennedy's predictions he made on November 22nd. Okay, he talked about things. It's absolutely fantastic what he talked about. And this is kind of the end of the exhibit. Okay, we have from the grave of an MP, he sent me this. Jim Lavelle, which was a very good friend of mine, who also wrote the foreword to my book that I'm trying to finish. There's Jim. And then this is one of the last cases right here. Just memorabilia, memories of Kennedy. Should I shake his hand? Hey there, Jack. Okay, and this is called The Final Days. And I don't think we hit this case yet, but let me show you. Metallic art, pewter, gold, stainless. There's golden right that's silver. That's pure silver right there. This is very unusual. I think I've seen this twice in 50 years. A model of Dealey Plaza that with an ink pen. I mean, I saw it twice. I've never seen like it again. So some guy made them, which is kind of morbid. And look at that coin up there, that big, beautiful coin. That's all gold. Beautiful. Okay? So, let's go back to Ruby. This is the presidential years, the car from this side. And then this is the Ruby movie, and also with Kevin Costner on the JFK movie. There's Oliver Stone in my car. So everything's signed. Everything's signed. This is the director of one of the movies from National Geographic, Discovery Channel. Okay. And there is from The Watchmen. Look at this guy. It's kind of scary. This was shot in Vancouver, British Columbia. That was a $20,000 contract. Well, they are all $20,000 contracts. This is Danny Aiello, who just passed away. I went to his hotel room. He signed this for me. Gave me some great advice about life, by the way. I'll share that with you sometime if you're interested. And how about Velveteer? How about John Kennedy's fragrance? Look at this. Look at this. You can still buy this at Neiman Marcus for about $350. Smells great, by the way. Okay. Here is his Christmas card. And as you can see, if you read fast, look how much money these go for. I don't know if that's true today. I'd take a lot less. So this is, ironically, he was dead. And look at that. He's got in the angels on black. I mean, that's, you wouldn't think that he'd be dead, and he had angels on there. And there's the card. And then I'm going to swing over here real fast. I do have a gift shop. Okay, I do have a gift shop. And these are the flags coming in the entrance. And I'm going to be saying goodbye here real quick. So from my collection of the Kennedy Experience, I hope you enjoyed it. I know this is a little long, but for those of you who are kind of interested, I thought I'd make this long video. Thanks a lot. Take care of yourselves. Take care.